Hello everyone and welcome back to the final episode of Stellaris, the Machine Age, with the Roman Empire, otherwise known as the Imperial Core, where we are 2 years away from completion now, and with a plenty healthy economy and a very good score lead, ahead of the Salimis by about 25,000. I don't see a huge amount that can get on our way now. Apart from possibly this rising unemployment, which has continued to be a problem. I have skipped forward a few years, as you might have been able to tell, but to be perfectly honest, nothing really happened. To be perfectly honest with you, there's a few little bits I've adjusted and changed, but really nothing major. And we're now in 2498 with 2 years to go, so I'm starting to kind of have a look at the top 10. So it's us in first place, Salimi's doing pretty well in second, followed by the Defensive Custodians, Lux, the Civic Quest, and the Urzo Vestige. Following on from all the Fallen Empires, you have the Gagassians, who are not that far away from overtaking the Urzo Vestige in 7th place, Foundations of Voliots, the Provisioners, and the Nutans. Our old friends the Lipians, however, have dropped down into 12th place, even with a score of 26,000. Now, I wonder if that's because they have... Are they actually in breach of galactic law, I wonder? They may well be. Yes, they are. I have a feeling they've run out of fleet power. Yes, they have. I wonder if I can... I would offer them to come be my subject, but they're in 4 different wars. It's going to be a long time before we can make that happen. But our old rivals, the Lipians, have really dropped out of contention. They were in a very powerful federation. That being said, 60,000 of our score comes from our subject empires. If you were to take all those subject empires away, you would put us at about 40,000 in score, maybe 44. Probably just behind the Gagassians and ahead of the Voliots. So we do rely a lot on our vassal states for sure. Right, this scientist can have computing research. Again, I'm not sure we're going to need it, but that's fine. I'm also going to make sure that terminal egress is up to date as much as possible, because I would like to ensure that we have enough to see it through any major problems. We do have there's a vestige looking a little bit suspicious, or pretty close by. I should also colonise direct habitat, which I am yet to do. And there we go. Let us put in, of course, our founder species, even though it's probably not the ideal habitat for them. We'll put in these guys. Can be direct prime. We may as well colonise every single spot available for us to do so. Black Time Mercenaries, I'm just going to extend our contract to ensure that we don't lose them. But as you can see, our economy is in very, very nice shape at the moment. I don't expect any major problems. First Imperium can go level itself up. I think we've got enough people in terminal egress for the time being to ward off any major opposition. But we may well send a fleet over to assist. I'm just thinking about which one we want to send over. We'll send over that fleet of Zarkon's Pilgrims. It won't take them that long to arrive. 262 days. It should be there early next year in 2499. I do think this is the first time I've actually completed a game of Stellaris, remarkably enough. I've played a lot of hours of Stellaris, but I never really get to the end game because usually the game chunks and it's a struggle to keep going. And this game has been by no means an exception to that rule. But I wanted to see this series through to completion, which also begs the question: well, what's coming next? I haven't quite decided yet. I put out a poll on the community page fairly recently, and it looks to me like another strategy game is what people are looking for more than like a story-based RPG. Perhaps maybe because we already have the Saboteur up and running, which is, I guess, a bit more of a story-based game. So I've got a few ideas. I've got an idea of XCOM 2, which would involve all you guys as soldiers. Empire Total War, which has some really fun ideas in it, but is a bit of a slightly frustrating game to both run and play. And I've got some other ideas as well, so I'm trying to decide what is the best option, because at the moment I'm not entirely sure. Let's get some more Holy World fleets, because that's just funny. I'm not going to say no to more fleets, you guys can just return home. And one of you guys is governing something you don't need to, really. For example, this guy here, Clan Minder, you can come actually out on this fleet here, because you're a much better commander than you are a governor of an individual planet. I think that makes reasonable sense. I'm into 2499. Another megastructure completed. This time for the defective custodians, who weirdly have stayed defective. I thought perhaps after we had defeated the contingency, they would go back to being a normal empire again, but clearly not. We are also looking at this. We'll look at research sanctions. I may as well support this. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't. So any people who are denounced or in breach of galactic law will have less research speed and less diplomatic weight from tech. At the moment, that's only people like the Praku, the Lipians. Wow, the Lipians have really had a fall from grace for sure. The guess is actually very strong in terms of diplomatic power. Very much so. A worthy ally and a worthy competitor.
Completed.
But someone who has always been pretty much our friend. We did have a brief war, and I didn't understand that we were going to war with them. But that's okay. So yes, what's coming next? I haven't quite decided, but I've narrowed it down to a few options. I'm just trying to decide what would be best for the channel right now. I've done quite a bit of Total War over the last year, so that might not be a terrible thing to give a miss and try something else. And I'd like to involve more of you guys who watch. I'd like to do an XCOM series where you guys can submit soldiers. I say to be promoted and win the campaign, but most likely for slaughter, because that's how XCOM 2 works. But I have played a lot of XCOM 2, and so I probably would do a slightly modded campaign to give it a fresh lick of paint for me, and give me not only something new and exciting to try, but also a bit of a challenge. As certainly on Commander difficulty with XCOM 2, I feel I've got it pretty much under wrap and key. Legendary Iron Man is still a bit of a struggle, so we'd probably do a Commander difficulty modded run. But again, I still need to have a little bit of a think about that, so we may have a couple of small filler series in between. There are also another couple of series I'd like to try and get out. I'd like to do an Espiocracy series, which is a hooded horse game, a grand strategy game about spying, but I don't know when that's going to release, so that's another thing I'm having to think about. And I can't wait for it to release if I don't know when it's going to release. Also, if Suzerain does another DLC, I'd definitely like to do a series on that, because that was very popular at least within the realms of my channel. But also really enjoyed it, and I would love to do some more Suzerain when it comes out, or perhaps some form of Suzerain challenge run. And of course, there is always my old faithful of Mount and Blade Warband, with its many mods and lots and lots of jank too. So, as you can see, plenty to think about, but what I actually decide on, I don't know. But the Saboteur will keep going in the meantime, and we may well play a little bit more of a couple of one-off videos that I've done in the past. We may well see if some of them warrant a second video as well. So we are now only 3 months away from completing this series, and I don't know what the end screen looks like, to be perfectly honest, because like I said, I've never managed to actually complete a series of Stellaris. But having a look at the score, I think we are well within reach of clearing a lot of other competitors who are even relatively close by, and the Gagassians have actually pushed up into 6th place. Good for them. Overall, there are 32 empires. Not all of them independent, of course. But 32 empires nonetheless. Don't want to give you the guys too much stuff. But, once we dealt with the Great Tempest up here and the contingency, it really was a case of how hard can we win. Because there's not really anything that can touch us now, especially as we are the Galactic Emperor. We have a lot of diplomatic weight behind us and a lot of allies. It does look like a lot of the Gagassians are actually pushing into Vestige territory. That's interesting. That might be why they're increasing their score as well. Here we are in the final month of a nearly 300-year playthrough. And what a series it's been. What a series it's been. It's had its problems in terms of the game. It just hasn't quite kept up towards the end. And we definitely had some rough moments where survival didn't always look great. But as we come up to the end, that's 2,500. And beyond the rising unemployment, let's get rid of that. The Imperial Corps has won the game with 107,072 score. Nicely done. Again, ahead of the Selimis, ahead of the Defective Custodians, the Organologs, the Severquest, Gagassians, as a vestige of the Voliots. And a lot of that comes from our vassal states, because actually if you look at some of these other things here, economy, the Gagassians and the Selimis take us out and we push down to 3rd. Fleet power, of course, some of the Fallen Empires have a great deal, but again we stay in 3rd place for that. Research, however, I'll be intrigued to see how we land in this one. Organolog's top, then the Selimis, the Defective Custodians, Severquest and the Ozo Vestige, the top 5 Fallen Empires, followed by the Gagassians, the Lipians, the Covenant of Thonis, the Chim Enterprises, and very far down is us there, the Imperial Corps.
Alert. Non-standard space entity.
There we go. Victorious. Win the game through any condition. So, that is it. That is the end of our Stellaris playthrough. We will return to the main menu. For the final time, we will say goodbye to the Roman Empire, the robots who have come such a long way from their beginnings on Romulus all those 300 years ago. And just thank you so much, because it's been a real fun series to play, it's been a real fun series to record. And I look forward to seeing what Stellaris brings in the future, because there's been a couple of DLCs that have come out while I've been doing this series, but I didn't want to retroactively add them in case things went a little bit wrong. Also, Stellaris 4.0 has been announced, which is kind of looking to change a lot of things within the base game, and should also hopefully help with some of that late game struggle that Stellaris deals with. And so I've been treated to do another series on my own. But we may well see Stellaris on the channel in future, and if they ever decide to make a Stellaris 2.0, then I may well play that as well. But if they're coming up with all these new DLCs and updates, it doesn't look like Stellaris 2 is on the cards, at least not for a long while yet. That being said, thank you so much for watching and joining me on this series of Stellaris, the Machine Age, along with assorted other DLC. Thank you so much for watching, take care, bye bye.